So recently I went through what I would consider quite a long rut, and it's been quite a bad time over the last few months. Immediately I just thought, I've got a lot going on, come to the end of my degree, trying to run a business, trying to work while I build up the business, so I've got money to spend on things like advertising and products, and it's very easy to just go, oh yeah, it's all of that. That's why you're feeling rough. And yeah, I perhaps we do take too much on sometimes. Definitely would be nice if, it was one thing that was my center of attention. Like the dream is obviously have a business that is very successful, brings in enough money that you can just do that. Ideally for less hours in a day than a 9 to 5. Or if you're doing the same amount of hours, obviously you would like to expect more money than doing a 9 to 5. Because with your own business, it comes with a lot of responsibility, and sometimes that responsibility gets very overwhelming, and it can be very easy once you start on that path down procrastination to get into a very long rut. And I'd say it's been going on for months now. I've been getting very ratty with my family. My friends have noticed that it's been quite a big change in who I generally am, and it's been a lot of in my head trying to figure out why this is the way I feel at the moment. And I think it's important to share these kind of things as well. It's not just, oh, I'm moaning to the camera. I watch similar videos sometimes, and I find that someone just has a perspective on something. Perhaps they've read a certain book, or they've had someone in their life that is knowledgeable on that subject, and you can say something that can really draw someone out of that terrible state. And I guess that's almost why I'm making the video, actually. It's not a moan, pity me rubbish. I've done my own kind of reflection and, journaling and research. They help to an extent. But the reality is what I'm doing so when I get overwhelmed, I'll just turn to burying my head in gaming. And if I'm not gaming, then I'll just be binging YouTube. And as you can imagine, being very busy with trying to finish your final year of degree when you're in most days of the week, you've got dissertation to write, actually 2 essays to write, and I've got months of management coming up. Also then trying to retain, promote your clientele, and also try and live a normal life as well, trying to get to the gym. Sometimes everything collapses at once, and then I'll just bury my head in the sand. And obviously the problem with that is that you can't help but wonder, why do I do this? Sometimes when you get to the end of the night, maybe I've stayed up till 2 a.m. I've got to be up at 6 in the morning. I know I'm going to feel horrendous, but even then I might watch another video that's another half hour and just push that a bit further. I think, what's the difference? What does it matter? I'm already going to be fucked tomorrow anyway, so might as well just carry on, right? So then you naturally ask, why am I doing this? Why would I binge something that ends up making me feel worse? Because it's so endearing when you think, oh, I just want to switch off. And when I reflected on that, it's like, oh yeah, that's actually what's happening when we do these bad habits. Not that they're bad habits in and of themselves. You could play a couple of games with your mates, and then you can log off and go and do something else for the evening. But there's a difference between that and the procrastination gaming, where you just keep playing and playing and playing because you don't want to face reality, right? And so that's the difference between it being a problem and just recreational fun hobby. So I'm not anti-gaming, I'm not anti-YouTube, obviously. I love watching a good horror game playthrough on YouTube. Even games that I've played, I will then go and watch someone else play it because I love to see the reactions and their experience of things, how they've managed different areas that I found funny or difficult or scary. The most recent thing being Resident Evil Requiem. I loved the game, and then I watched other people play it. But then it soon turned into, I'm watching this person play it, I'm watching this person play it, I'm watching this person play it, and I'm thinking, alright, it was good, but there must be a reason that I'm watching more and more people play this. It's definitely a procrastination technique of my brain to go, hey, we've got a lot going on in our life right now, let's hide and not face those things because they're stressful and scary. And one of the most difficult things is getting yourself out of that rut, because unfortunately it's like that depressive state, it feeds off of inaction. So if you wake up on a Saturday and you've got nothing to do, and like I say, I've got my essays to write, I've got the business that I could be promoting, I've got videos that I could be making, I know those things are going to make me feel good. That's the key. They will actually make me feel good when I do them. But then I end up sticking on the TV, or maybe I'll just be like, oh, I'll play a couple of games. Before I know it, the day's gone. Because as soon as you start that habit, because it's hiding from the stuff you need to do, and the stuff will actually help you feel better, it's really then, it's just almost impossible to switch it off. Because once you started, the idea of going and then doing some work when you're playing, it's never going to be more appealing, you know? So it's almost like a battle where you have to go like, I'm just not even going to start doing that thing, because if I start, I know I'm just going to spiral for the whole day. And it's just the whole problem with that is then you're kind of hiding from that, feeling gross, but then by the end of it you feel so much worse. It's just this crazy cycle. I think so the big question becomes, how do you combat that? If it's something that you feel drawn to but then end up feeling worse for it, what do we do about it? Well, personally, I'd say it's not easy, obviously. That's kind of the whole point. This is why a lot of people struggle with that. It's not just some simple fix. But one of the biggest things you can do is just identify what are those crutches that you use. For me, like I say, it's just binging YouTube or gaming. To the point where it's not just recreational fun. And I know it. And if you know what your crutch is, you know what it is. And the biggest thing that I find, it's not just, oh well, I'll just cut that out, that'll solve the problem. That is a big part of it. You do have to do that. Like for me, that was then, oh well, uninstall all the games, right? Delete even delete Steam, so you can't even have a look. You can't even like just rush into it and download something quickly if you really just want to switch off and do that. And then what I've done is actively, just while I'm in this position that I'm in, I've gone on those videos that I know are just going to distract me. Things I don't really even care about watching, but they're just the same old habit. I will actively go through, if I'm using YouTube, and I will put not interested, and I just put don't show me this channel, or just don't show me this video or this content. And then the algorithm, you're customizing it to the kind of things that you want to see and the kind of person that you want to be. It's not about, oh, you must just work for the rest of your life and never have any recreational fun. Obviously that's not the point. It's the fact that you can identify that you're using these things as a crutch, an emotional crutch to lean on when things get stressful. However, the things that will actually make you feel better is not burying your head in the sand and following all these bad habits down the rabbit hole. Unfortunately, it is literally doing the thing, and that's a stupid thing to say, because yeah, we're avoiding doing the thing that we know we need to do. But one thing that changed it for me is that actually that bad feeling that you just have in your chest when you're overthinking, when you're ruminating, it's not that you're just being guilt tripped into working harder and harder and then never having any time off, never having a break. It's actually that your brain is telling you, we need to do this. This is actually going to make our lives better. Because all of these things, like working on my business and stuff, I didn't start them because I like hard work. I started them because, and the same with the degree, I started them because of the result that I'm going to get from them. My life will get better when I complete these things or when I work on these things. And that brings me to the next point, which is to realign yourself with your goal. Easier said than done when you're in that rut and you're just not feeling like thinking about the grand scheme of things whatsoever. But when you get to that clarity point of, you know what, this is actually something that's becoming an issue. I know I'm avoiding things. I know deadlines are looming. I know I'm feeling worse and worse the more I do them. Then you know that it's something that you've identified. Then you need to call it a day for a while, even if it's just a short period of time while you're working on something. The way that you do that is align yourself with your goals. Remember why you started doing these things. If you've found yourself in a position where perhaps you think, I actually don't want the end result anymore, of course you can decide to call it a day with something. But that doesn't just mean throw in the towel because it got difficult. Because then the next topic that you learn, if you're doing a degree and you're finding it challenging, you might find the next topic the most engaging thing, and you would have never experienced that because you quit. And this isn't a just hustle culture, nose to the grindstone, even if you hate everything about it. No. It's remind yourself, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to just be someone that plays games all day, because I know that's not gonna give me a fulfilling life. It's not the most, it's not exactly a skill. It doesn't take any effort. And when I finish my gaming session, then I don't feel better for it. So unless it's something that I'm doing as a social with my friends, that's different. Now, one of the things I keep sort of going over a little bit is not just, oh, this makes me feel bad, but remember how doing the good thing, as in doing the thing that you know you need to do to progress your life, to get to a different place that you are trying to move on from now, it does take work, but you're going to actually end up, if you just start in any which way, if you've got an essay to write, just open the document and just type. Give yourself like one sentence to write, or 50 words, whatever it is. Just start, even if you just read through the brief. If it's a work assignment, university assignment, your personal project. It's just take one little step, because then you'll find, not like 9 times out of 10, you will find that there's a little spark, and it goes off and it says, oh yeah, this is actually something that's quite satisfying. This is something that I like to do. And this has reminded me that the whole point of me starting this project, because you started it for a reason in the first place. There was some reason that you thought this will be a good idea, and you've forgotten it, and hence you ruminate and procrastinate. But then when you remind yourself that actually, it feels quite satisfying to complete a task, even if I'm just doing one little step of progress, even if it's minuscule, 0.5% a day over the whole year is massive leaps and bounds in improvement than doing 0% or negative decline. So yeah, this is just like, it's a bit of a rant, but just remind yourself that doing the difficult thing when you're in a rut and when you need to get out of it, it's actually something that's going to make you feel better. Because we hide away doing these bad habits, relatively bad habits. We hide away and bury our heads in them because we think, or our monkey brain thinks, that this is going to help, this is going to make me feel better. And it does work, but it's like a temporary measure. It's like a little band-aid on a big wound, and it doesn't work forever. It doesn't work for long. The only thing that really solves the problem is attacking the problems that you need to face, and that's how you're going to end up feeling better.